with the Super Bowl, when it comes to the ads, what worked and what didn't work?
Well, I think what worked is having an ad that was unlike any other ad and making it, I mean, it was as direct response as you could get. You know, when people are watching TV on their home, they have their phone in their hand, tablet, and this ad basically was like, grab your phone and become a part of this ad. And I also don't think it's recreatable in the sense. It's like, if you do it again, it's just a poor imitation of the original. So to combine that with like this kind of really, truly direct response ad, probably for the real, truly, you know, this direct, one of the first times in history. It's just, it doesn't tell a story. The story is learn about crypto. I think it was pretty amazing. I don't think we'll see it again. And I think that it took a lot of courage for them to do it. And it apparently has paid off. So that's great for that brand.
Ryan, how about you? What worked? What didn't work? I mean, I certainly clicked on the Coinbase QR code, but then the site went down, and I'm not sure, is that success or what?
I don't know. The site going down is probably indicative of some serious success, I would guess. I mean, those are, you know, that's what's called an uptown problem. You know, I always feel like your marketing should move as fast as you do, you know, so I think that, you know, that Coinbase ad was great. I mean, in terms of just, you know, I always think that the two biggest obstacles to creativity are too much time and too much money. You know, and character always wins out over spectacle, and that ad has character. It's engaging, it pulls people in. So I thought that was fantastic. I loved seeing Paul Rudd and Seth in their piece for Lay's. I thought that was great as well.
So the crypto ad takeover, did this hit the zeitgeist? I mean, it wasn't just Coinbase, it was FTX, it was eToro. There were so many different companies trying to get a slice of our attention.
Yeah. But they, like we were just talking about, they cut through. And they told us, I think what they figured out is everyone is curious about this topic. So let's make an ad that is as direct to learning about it as you can. And it was very clever. And when I watch it, it's almost funny in how simple it is. You're kind of laughing like, this is it, but it worked. And so it was their own way of cutting through the clutter and almost capturing the moment in the most like direct way possible. I think it was brilliant, and it's one of a kind.
There was one thing missing from that Coinbase ad, well, a lot of things, including a celebrity. We've seen so many celebrities jumping on this crypto train. Ryan, what's your take on that? Is this just the next bandwagon, or is there something more here?
You know, I just see that as you know, enterprise companies looking to create and carve out space in the zeitgeist. You know, and sometimes a great way to do that is to use celebrities. Sometimes a terrible way to do that is to use celebrities. So I think they seem to be for, you know, I think a large part doing some things pretty well. You know, I enjoyed the LeBron piece. But yeah, it's definitely something new, and it's definitely something that's probably here to stay.
Do you own any crypto now?
I don't really want to comment on that, but you know, I do see the value in you know, the conversation that we're having right now. You know, I mean, it's I think companies are doing a good job of bringing it into a sort of a safer, more mainstream light. I mean, 90% of the word crypto is crypt. So, you know, I see why certain folks who might be put off it or intimidated by it, or, but you know, I think it's emerging as a huge player. I mean, it's been emerging for a long time as a huge player. So I'm not super surprised.
The proposition of Mountain is that the Super Bowl should happen all year long, right? Your pitch is that you're giving clients Super Bowl level attention whenever they want, whether it's a big football day or not, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, it's one of the great things about maximum effort and what we can do within Mountain is that we can, you know, we have the ability to leverage agile, high impact, creative advertising for TV. You know, and ads are fun. Ads are meant to be fun. We sort of forget that. And, you know, like I said earlier, I think ads that the only time that really suffers is when there's too much time and too much money. When you're moving at the speed of culture, there isn't really an opportunity to overthink everything. One of the great things about Mountain and the CAS model, the creative as a subscription model that we use, is that it cuts through a ton of the red tape. It's self-service. You know, brands are able to create huge impact in a short amount of time, you know, and I love that about what we get to do. I think one of the biggest tenets of the company is that we've coined it as fastvertising, and that's to say that we do a lot more with a lot less, and we're obviously moving at a speed that is pretty blinding, by comparatively speaking to how marketing and ad spaces work traditionally. So, and I think that if you can. For us, the ultimate goal always is, and I think Maximum Effort and Mountain do so well together, is that if you drop into an existing cultural conversation, your brand becomes that conversation, and that's really is, for at least me in the creative side of things. Mark is more the software side of things, obviously, but for me, that's everything.
Ryan, you've brought rapid response, really, to the ad world. And I'm curious, that Peloton ad with Chris Noth that you turned so quickly right after the premiere of the Sex and the City reboot, how did that happen?
Well, that's a great example of the power of CAS, of creative as a subscription. And, they were already hooked. Peloton was already hooked into that system. So it gave us an opportunity to cut through all of the red tape that you would normally, find with it, especially with a company as big as that. It's they're companies that, have these sort of long drawn out ad campaigns that are created in advance. But we were able to do that. And there's no exaggeration when I say this. We were rolling cameras 24 hours after Peloton had called Mountain and said, "Do you guys have anything for us? We're in the middle of a very odd cultural moment because a television show has killed one of their main stars on our product, unbeknownst to us." And we were able to respond in a way that was super agile and fun. But none of this. This is the main reason that I was so excited about Maximum Effort merging with Mountain. And I know it's a bold thing to say, but really I feel like Mountain is inevitable in this space, much in the same way that, Facebook was to social and so on. And I think the rise of streaming services and the advancements in production and technology, we see it firsthand how it plays out in Hollywood. It's transformed Hollywood. And I think the rise of AVOD and the power of social, you could see this massive opportunity to transform CTV advertising, and merging with the leading performance TV platform that was going to help us on our journey in huge ways. So leveraging Mountain's platform and position in the CTV ecosystem, that's facilitating that relationship, and it's the impact that we want to make in that space, and vice versa. It's just been such a mutually beneficial experience for us.
So talk to us about the creative process in that moment. Is it just coming out of your head? Are you in a writer's room throwing ideas back and forth? Are you throwing it up on a whiteboard? Like, how does it happen?
It happens kind of all of the above. I mean, we at Maximum Effort, we have a team of, I would call them like 25 snipers. We have more ideas than places to put them, and that problem and that issue has been helped a tremendous amount by merging with Mountain. We also have QuickFrame, which is a massive creative company with what I would characterize as an army of creatives. So allowing us to sort of deploy in so many different, with vastly different perspectives too, in our creative wheelhouse. It's been really, really amazing.
Now, you did have to take that ad down, or Peloton did, because of the sexual assault allegations against Chris Noth. Since then, we've seen Peloton go through a bit of a tumult. The CEO stepping down, them letting almost 3,000 people go. I'm curious, Mark, how you see that in retrospect, and what seeing something like that happen to a brand that you're working with, how that impacts you.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been a challenge for Peloton, and they've made changes in the company. In terms of the allegations with Chris, obviously Peloton has nothing to do with that, but it now is something that, at least for a moment, got connected to their brand. But I think you put that off to one side, and then for Peloton, I think ultimately, and I can say this as someone leading a company, you focus on product. Peloton has great product. People love using it. All of the trends in America, kind of people moving, the smaller towns favorite. And I think the new management team there, I think they're going to have somewhat of an easy time of it, of just refocusing on basics and making the product even more accessible to more people. So kind of the answer to your question is, you just kind of put that in your rearview mirror and you move forward, and you go back to retelling your story in hopefully a fun and interesting way.
Ryan, how do you think about seeing? Well, for example, you're also working with a company called Bolt that the CEO, you've got that great ad with Sarah McLachlan and the abandoned shopping carts, giving them
Yeah.
a little love. The CEO of Bolt also just got bumped to the chairman role. And I wonder how you think about your relationship with these brands and the fact that you're often working with companies that need a little love, need a little brand.
Yeah, I love it. My job is the creative. My job is really servicing that side of it. How best can I tell your story in a way that is culturally relevant and resonant, and will allow your brand to become the conversation in a way that is delightful. Look, and also at Maximum Effort, our edicts are joy in bringing people together. As corny as that sounds, none of that precludes you from being subversive, though. I mean, so much of our work is incredibly subversive and interesting, and we have a lot of fun. Half the time we're sitting in our creative little think circles and we're just laughing ourselves to death. But it's so I have the greatest job on planet Earth, and really we really feel strongly about that, not creating a ton of divisive advertising and marketing for companies, and it really works. I think you're seeing consumers respond to that. I mean, for example, that quick turn moment with Peloton in December was that that has 6 billion media impressions within 36 hours, and we've done it before with Peloton, but in the other way. We did it with my brand Aviation Gin, and Peloton had an ad out a couple of years ago that was called the Peloton Wife, and we did our own sort of version of that. We turned that around in less than 48 hours, and it became the conversation. It made Aviation Gin become the conversation. So that stuff is fun, and none of it is really that divisive. It's just really about playing in the cultural landscape.
Mark, obviously you're seeing a brand, a very established brand, whether it's loved or hated, trying to make a big transition with Facebook moving to the metaverse from a product perspective and a brand perspective. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think that clearly there's a lot of interest in the concept of the metaverse. And so, I mean, Facebook basically said, look, we're going to jump in front of it, both from a product perspective and literally renaming the company to Meta. That takes a lot of courage. I think Mark Zuckerberg is thinking about the long term here and going forward. It's not guaranteed that it succeeds. There have been many products and categories in the past where it seems like everyone is on board for adopting, and then they somehow don't fully make it. But to take a company the size of Facebook and say, I'm almost going to pivot it over to something that is potentially game-changing for the entire world, is a pretty bold move. Whether the world needs it or not, I think is a totally different conversation. But whether they need it or not, Mark has decided he's going to, he's going to get in front of that train and lead that train, and we'll find out in a few years whether that was a bet, great bet or not. But for sure, it's a bold bet, renaming a company and really essentially saying this is the future of Facebook. So, I admire it. I'm not in terms of what he's doing. In terms of the product, we'll wait and see.
Yeah,
Ron Artest did do it first,
go ahead.
Technically. Ron Artest did do it first, technically, to change his name to Meta World Peace. But that was then. This is now.
Noted. Ryan, there are so many celebrities now chasing spirits. Everybody wants that next Aviation Gin deal. Can you talk to us a little bit about your business strategy beyond ads and, where you see this going? Like, what are you trying to build?
Yeah, I mean, just to speak to the sort of micro aspect of that, I look at what has helped me and really changed the game in terms of Aviation Gin and how I've managed to grow it, as well as Mint Mobile, I would say, and certainly applies to the work we're doing with Mountain right now, is that the white space I've found is to really drop a lot of the artifice around me, a lot of the layers. I don't have any of those when we're talking to clients, enterprise clients or other clients, there's a direct line to me. So having accessibility and accountability, I found to be a huge white space. It just changes the game. So, really making sure that you have skin in the game, so you're a big part of the growth and success of whatever it is that you're building in that brand, but you really can't do that with a whole army of people around you. So that's something that showbiz sort of ingrains in you early on, is that you have, agents and managers and publicists and lawyers and all sorts of stuff. So really kind of getting into the mix of this stuff without any of those layers has just really changed everything for me. And that really started about 6 or 7 years ago. So that's always my advice to other folks in my industry, is to just, make sure that you're accountable, you're accessible, you're the one picking up the phone, and that you're reachable. So.
Well, speaking of another game, I have to ask you about the Welsh soccer or football team. You bought Wrexham AFC last year, 5th level English football team, and my very dear colleague, Ed Ludlow, is from Wrexham and cannot believe what you're doing to put this small Welsh town on the map, and he has a question for you. He wants to know, what is the future of this team, and is this the next Ted Lasso story?
I don't know if it's the next Ted Lasso story, but it's. I think the future of the team is bright. Specifically because both Rob McElhenney and I have sustainability in mind when it comes to growing this club, and really how we understand how interconnected the club is with the community. So that's always been a huge part of our strategy, is making sure that each of these pillars are sort of working together as we grow. But I love it. I love every second of it. And honestly, I know this might be a little controversial to say, I hate it too. Football, soccer, as we call it, is just the most heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, hellacious roller coaster ride of emotion and feeling that I don't know I have the proper strength to sort of withstand throughout a whole season. It's tough. This is a heartbreaking and I get why they call it the beautiful game. It really is beautiful, but it's punishing too.
All right. Well, he'd like to take you for a pint of Wrexham lager the next time you're in town, and you can either laugh or cry depending on how the team is doing. All right?
Done and done. Yep.